Face Off on the Playing Field by Judith Stamper. Jamie Nared of Oregon stood more than 6 feet tall in 6th grade and played basketball in a private boys' league. After scoring 30 points in one game, she was told that she could no longer play on the team. She started playing with older girls instead. In contrast, Jade Montgomery of North Carolina ran onto her school's football field without a struggle. After kicking a winning point, she was crowned homecoming queen in her football uniform. Nared and Montgomery are just two of the thousands of girls who have competed on boys' sports teams. Each girl has her own story of support or discrimination, success or defeat. 40 years after Title IX changed school sports, the debate goes on. Should girls be allowed to compete on boys' sports teams? Tough enough. Page 7. It's obvious, girls are just different than guys, says a male high school athlete. Opponents of girls playing on boys' teams make the case that girls are smaller, weaker, and less aggressive than boys. They say that playing contact sports like football and wrestling puts girls at risk of serious physical harm. It also takes away girls' femininity and makes them the target of ridicule and scorn. Supporters of Title IX reject this traditional view of girls. The Women's Sports Foundation responds that girls aren't always smaller and weaker. In fact, there are greater physical differences among members of one gender than between genders. For example, the average 16-year-old girl is 5 inches shorter than the average 16-year-old boy. However, the heights of 90% of girls span a range of more than 8 inches. Studies also show that sports makes girls healthier, both physically and emotionally. On average, female athletes are stronger than girls who don't play sports. They are less likely to drink, smoke, or use drugs. Plus, they are more self-confident and goal-oriented. Fair play. Congress passed Title IX to level the playing field for boys and girls. However, supporters of boys' sports are crying foul. They point out that many boys' teams, such as wrestling, have been cut because the school doesn't have a girls' team for the sport. They also claim that schools spend too much money on girls' sports teams and say the money should be spent on more important boys' athletic programs. Title IX supporters disagree. They say girls have been treated as second-class athletes for long enough. If boys' sports are getting less funding now, that is just making up for past inequalities. In fact, the playing field is still biased against girls. For example, boys' baseball programs often have better fields, equipment, and scholarships than girls' softball programs. Young male athletes voice another concern. They say that having a girl on their team or on an opposing team is unfair. Some boys feel that it is wrong or ungentlemanly to be aggressive towards girls. As a result, they hold back and don't play their strongest game, especially in contact sports like wrestling. Many boys feel awkward about the kind of physical contact they have with girl opponents. Several all-male wrestling teams have forfeited rather than compete against a girl. Supporters of female athletes respond that boys should get over it. If a girl is skilled enough to make a team, she is capable enough to play against an equal. And what about outstanding young female athletes? These girls want to push themselves to the peak of athletic achievement. To do this, they need to compete against challenging opponents. For many young female athletes, that level of competition can be found in only one place, on a boys' team. Good sports. Finally, some fans argue for the glory of sports. They say that sports should be about the spirit of competition and athletic excellence. Teams should not be based on quotas that force an equal number of boys and girls to play. Some people believe sports are a guy thing. Males have a love for the game that females will never have. In response to those arguments, supporters of girls' athletics point to the growing number of girls and women participating in sports. They say that Title IX changed the way girls look at sports and the way society looks at girls. Mariah Burton Nelson, a former Stanford University basketball player, puts it this way: Strength, independence, and freedom, those are the kind of things girls are learning from sports. Opportunities are changing women, and they're changing the way men and boys see women. The debate is far from over. Each year, Title IX is being tested on playing fields and in courtrooms. A girls demand to play on boys' teams. Boys have also begun to demand to play on girls' teams. Both on and off the playing field, boys and girls are facing off like never before.